Illinois Public Media News, this is 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. It's Friday, September 13th. Coming up, we'll learn how a state review committee has standardized testing and how teachers use test data to help students. That story in just a few minutes, but first, these headlines. A coalition of environmental activists and state lawmakers are working to protect a large aquifer in central Illinois. Mawa Iqbal has more.
The Mahomet Aquifer is an underground body of rock that contains drinking water for nearly 1 million people. The Illinois Prairie Rivers Network says there are several projects that seek to capture carbon dioxide and store it underneath the Mahomet. Policy Director Andrew Rains says CO2 could leak into the aquifer, making the water unsafe for drinking.
We are very lucky to have access to clean drinking water here in central Illinois. And I think it's really important that we fight to protect it because we would sorely miss it if it was gone.
State Representative Carol Ammons and Senator Paul Faraci are introducing a bill in November that would ban carbon capture and storage near the aquifer. I'm Mawa Iqbal.
It's been almost a year since Illinois became the first state to completely abolish the cash bail system, and downstate public defenders say they are feeling overworked. Under the old system, a defendant would have to pay their way out of staying in jail before their trial. Now, public defenders are filing more paperwork and spending more time in court arguing before a judge who decides whether their clients should be jailed or not. Elizabeth Pollock says she doesn't have enough staff to meet this larger workload.
There needs to be a wholehearted investment in this system. Otherwise, we're just telling the people that we represent that they're not important enough to matter.
Pollock is a public defender in Champaign County and says the state should invest more in incentivizing public defenders to work in rural areas. Illinois' Bright Start College Savings Program is undergoing some changes at the end of this month. State Treasurer Mike Frerichs says families can expect a roughly 13% reduction in overall fees. Frerichs says that will ensure more money is spent the way it's intended.
We want to make sure that if you're struggling to put money into your child's college savings account, the vast majority of that money actually goes towards their education, not to enrich someone's bank account on Wall Street.
A Bright Start mobile app is also launching soon. The company TIAA will take over as the program's new manager, which Frerichs says will help bolster the fund's investment lineup. There are roughly 500,000 active Bright Start accounts today. That's compared to 197,000 9 years ago, when it was considered among the worst-run college savings programs in the country. Still to come, we'll learn how a state review committee has standardized testing and how teachers use test data to help students. That story is coming up next on 217 Today. But first, meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your forecast for today.
I'm meteorologist Andrew Pritchard with your IPM News forecast for Champaign-Urbana. Your forecast for today, mostly cloudy with a high of 80 degrees and a southeast wind 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 64 degrees, an east wind 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with a slight chance of a rain shower and a high of 85 degrees, southeast wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy with a slight chance of a rain shower and a low of 65 degrees, an east wind 5 miles per hour. And for Sunday, partly cloudy with a high of 86 degrees and an east wind 5 to 10 miles per hour.
Next time on the 21st show, our Friday reporter roundtables, including why people downstate might be asked to care about the city of Chicago's budget, the looming threat of another government shutdown, and the opening of a new interdisciplinary art center meant to blur the boundaries across creative disciplines. I'm Brian Mackey, and that's next time on the 21st show. Join us.
You're listening to 217 Today. I'm Kimberly Schofield. For the past few years, a state review committee has been weighing changes to standardized testing. Peter Medlin reports on the changes they've made and how teachers use test data to help students.
Which statement best describes what happens to the fruit drink mix when it dissolves in the water? A. The particles increase.
This is a practice question from the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, or IAR. It's the standardized test Illinois students from 3rd through 8th grade take every spring. Federal law mandates annual statewide assessments like the IAR and SAT, but what purpose do these standardized tests actually serve? That's one of the questions the state's Assessment Review Committee has been exploring over the past couple years, and I asked Illinois State Superintendent Tony Sanders.
I think if you talk to most school districts, they would tell you that the purpose of the SAT assessment and the IAR assessment really is just about accountability. Most districts do not utilize that test to inform classroom instruction.
Teachers use that test data a lot, though, and getting the results back to schools quicker was another issue for the review committee. This year, they did. Schools got the IAR results back before the end of the school year instead of in the summer. Tara Hammer is a 3rd grade teacher at Carlson Elementary in Rockford, and she says it gives teachers more time to reflect and think about what skills they should be focusing more on.
It does affect what we teach before the test, and it does affect how we plan our instruction, especially in math.
The test is in April, and last year they saw a lot of questions about fractions on the test, so Hammer and fellow 3rd grade teacher Sheila Zarowski say they got to make sure they focus on fractions before the IAR.
Have we addressed all the standards in ELA and in math by that April golden day?
And we never make it. We never make it. As hard as we try, we have never made it.
They can also see what kinds of questions their students struggled with and how difficult those questions were. Alyssa Campbell is a 6th grade math teacher at Clinton Rosette Middle School in DeKalb.
This was the first time I was able to sit down with students in conference and say, this is how you did on an IAR test. Way to go.
She says showing students how much they've grown gives the test more meaning.
I don't care if you're way down here as long as you're making growth. I don't care if you're way up here as long as you're not stopping there and still continuing to grow.
It allows them to set goals, but it still doesn't influence her classroom instruction. But there are other standardized tests that do impact her classroom instruction, like the Measures of Academic Progress, or MAP test, which hundreds of Illinois schools take. They take MAP 3 times a year instead of just once, and they get that test data back immediately. It can be helpful information, but with the IAR, MAP, and other local tests, it adds up to a lot of assessments. MAP testing takes several days, and Campbell says the IAR is a week and a half of testing.
It's ironic because it's like you want us to teach the kids all this stuff so they can do well on the test, but then you're taking away our time to teach them, to give them the test.
For the 3rd graders, Zarowski says they spend even more time doing test prep because it's their first year taking the exam.
It does take a lot of teaching time out of the equation.
And both Rockford teachers say, especially for kids that young, the testing is exhausting.
We say, okay, well, this is an IAR week, so pretty much we're not going to be teaching much else because they're going to be drained.
I feel like the length of the tests sometimes are just way too much. They would be like, is it over yet? Is it over yet?
Campbell says accountability is important, but the testing is too much. And she says the most important thing is that people realize none of these tests are perfect indicators of how smart a student is or who they are.
There is so much more to being a successful student than being able to prove it on a test. Like, grades are a great component, or winning awards for being like the student of the month because you're showing kindness or responsibility.
Because teachers like her are in the classroom with those students every day, and they see students grow and succeed in ways tests will never be able to measure. I'm Peter Medlin.
That's it for today. 217 Today is produced by Stephanie Mosqueda. Reporting today contributed by Mawa Iqbal, Alex Stegman, and Peter Medlin. Music by the Kilbourne Alley Blues Band. Reginald Hardwick is our news director. I'm Kimberly Schofield. 217 Today is a production of Illinois Public Media. Thanks for listening, stay safe, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.